love with it because I was able to really learn a lot being a promo assistant and doing live events. And I love music and going to concerts so much. Also, as a fangirl and going to concerts, I knew what it took to make sure our fans are safe, make sure they are happy, make sure they are having a great experience, but also working on the other side of it and working with artists. I knew what it took to make sure they were happy, to make sure the labels were happy, and to make sure that the artists came in and they were having a great time. And so we could build loyalty with them so they could keep coming back and playing our shows. And so that's kind of the way that I got started into it. And just getting to implement my fangirlness in my day to day is really important to me. As I mentioned earlier in the Zoom, that with all these summer concerts happening, I get to sit down with older males who listen to me when I say, hey, like, let's try to think about having maybe a really fun party bus on the way to a Five Sauce show. Because when I was younger, transportation to concerts was such a huge deal for me. I had parents that were always working and that couldn't drop me off or anything. And so I get to do things from a fangirl experience, and I think that's really important. That's kind of how I got my start.
But like
So
for
for
me, when I got my start, I feel like music was something that just came into my life when I was younger. I actually used to want it to be a musician, I wanted to actually be a singer songwriter. But then I kind of, as I got older, I kind of swifted and actually I drifted apart from the music industry because of personal things in my life. And I kind of went strictly into the fashion industry and it kind of just pursued that for the longest time. And then I found myself backpedaling right back to the music industry again. And it became just a second, like a passion of mine. It's just something that drove me in. From the artists I got to meet and from becoming friends with some of my favorite artists, it kind of just kept me moving and why I wanted to start my digital creative agency.
So I started getting interested in concerts from a pretty young age. It started with an interest in The Wanted, which eventually transitioned to One Direction. I mean, Jonas Brothers even earlier on. My sister and I used to travel like all around the country just to see One Direction, to see different shows. I never really thought about it as a feasible career. It was just something I really liked to do in addition to school. It was like my big hobby. And then when I did get to college and I was planning on doing technology and other things, I was doing like technical stuff. And then I ended up just doing all of my internships in entertainment and I didn't want to stop. And so eventually I was like, I built up so much experience in this field. And I think this is just what I want to stick to for now. And what I realized is there's so many different opportunities in entertainment. You can really go any route. Like eventually I want to transition to entertainment law. So I'm like studying for LSATs and stuff like that. But there really are so many opportunities. And I realized it felt like the right industry for me, even though it was difficult to get into. It's something that made me really happy. And I think a lot of people don't go into career feeling like they can actually pursue something that they're passionate about. And I feel like with entertainment, you really can do that. So I was able to combine those interests and it was something I really enjoyed doing.
Okay, I'm gonna read next question. How do I gain experience in music industry as a college graduate? I majored in marketing and only have social media experience, but I want to do more than just social media.
To kind of piggyback what I said earlier, when I say just get your foot in the door and just start navigating from there, that's, I want to say, one of the best tips I have. I think it's great that you have social media experience. And I also understand wanting to learn and do more things. So get your foot in the door wherever, anywhere that you can. Again, volunteering opportunities, internships, entry level jobs. And also make sure you're letting people know once you're working that, hey, like, I like what I'm doing. This is the skills that I have, but I eventually want to do this. I eventually want to go into light production. I eventually want to become an engineer, an audio engineer, and let it be known. I remember after that Justin Bieber event that I worked, and I was in the hustle and bustle of that photo pit, the very next Monday, I came to my boss. I walked into my boss's office and said, I want to do that. I want to keep doing it. I want to do it for music festivals. I want to do it for huge artists. How can I do that? And from there, he was so excited to help me and gave me the best tips. So it really helps to let people know within your network, within the people that you work with, what you eventually want to do. I believe it was Anne Marie who mentioned it earlier, how you never know who's willing to help you. And there are a lot of people out there who are willing to help you. And so if you just make it be known, there are going to be people out there who are willing to guide you.
There are also so many ways to build your portfolio that don't have to be financially compensated. So you could be working in a job full time, and you could also do something on the side for volunteering. Like I also volunteer for like this up and coming ticket agency called Fangirl, where they sell, it's kind of like a StubHub, but there are no fees involved with tickets. And through that, I was able to meet a lot of different people as well. And I was able to learn more about marketing, learn more about sales. So there's other stuff that I was interested in related to entertainment. And also a lot of artists have like street teams that you can apply for where you can work on other projects for them. They're usually uncompensated, but you might get like merch or tickets or something else like that. And they are really great ways to make connections and also just learn new skills that you can then bring to your portfolio and to your resume.
And this next question is kind of like a piggyback off of that. Someone says, what are some examples of things they should include in their portfolio? And what other things should we include to make your application stand out?
For portfolio, anything and everything. I'll link my personal portfolio in the chat so you could check it out. But also, like I mentioned, that I've been working in the industry for years. And so mine is pretty stacked. So never, ever feel intimidated. That's another just side tip in general. Never compare your music industry journey to someone else's, because how someone gets there is going to be different the way that you get there. And there is a lot of different types of privileges at play. So just root for people, but also keep your blinders on at the same time. As far as portfolio, find your very best work. If you're first starting, just one page of your best photos, or maybe your best social media examples, screenshot them with some statistics, share videos, share what maybe you're the best, if you're a writer, for example, share articles that you've written, anything, just one page of your very, very best stuff, graphic design work, whatever it may be. And the cool thing about also being just a creative in general is you don't need an official job either. During the pandemic and I wasn't getting too many freelancing gigs, I would take screenshots from music videos and then just create graphics off of those screenshots, just to continue building and showing off my skills. Because also, if you're working for, say, like a huge company, sometimes you don't get the most creative atmosphere ever because there's so many cooks in the kitchen. So just one page of your very, very best stuff is really important. And as you continue to grow and build your resume and gain experience, you'll have a lot more things to show in your portfolio.
I'm going to piggyback after that. For me, on things that I started adding before I started doing freelance work, adding to my portfolio, I used all the marketing campaigns on projects that I worked on from school. You could definitely add that to your portfolio because that is something that you worked on. It's something that you could show because it's like a mock-up on what they can expect from you and what work that you can see. So jobs can understand that you have the knowledge on what you're doing.
In terms of how to make yourself stand out, I think it's just really important to remember that you are a unique candidate. It's important to talk about your background, talk about your interests, talk about your family, your culture. There isn't a lot of diversity in the industry. So you have to remember that you are a valuable candidate for any position, and any job would be lucky to have you. So when you are applying, make sure that you're looking at the company and asking, like, what kind of mentorship opportunities are available there? What kind of things can you offer me? What are my benefits? It's really important to remember that at the end of the day, this is a job and they're employing you. So you have to remember that it's not only about what you can give them, it's also about what they can give you.
Someone asks, if you have a Twitter fan account, is it appropriate to mention it in an application or interview?
I am going to say yes, because that in itself is experience, and it's important experience. One of my really good colleagues used to run a huge 5 sauce update Twitter account in 20 during their peak time, 2014, 2015. I guess they're still peaking. Anyways, but she works for BuzzFeed, and she's worked at a ton of record labels out in Los Angeles. And I have one of my mentees, she used to run update accounts for Fifth Harmony. And I told her, never be ashamed to share those on your resume. That's why I always recommend on a resume, instead of job experience, related experience. Because if you think about it, if you're running an update Twitter account that has thousands of followers, tons of engagement, that takes some type of intelligence, that takes some type of knowledge to know to know not only internet culture, but to know just the culture and how to gain engagement from there. So I definitely think it's appropriate to add it onto your Twitter. Unfortunately, I am the worst at creating resumes, but I know that there are resources out there. If you join networking groups on Facebook, there's people out there who love creating resumes, and that could help you twist the words around so it sounds, instead of writing a fan account on Twitter, it sounds more professional, but still aids to what you did on that update account. So yes, definitely do it, add it to your resume.
I would definitely also say yes. I mean, for a while, right after I started now working as a music journalist a couple years ago, there was a time, like a little over a year, and I regret being like this. There was a time where I felt like I can't let anyone in the industry know that I once ran One Direction fan accounts, because I thought I would come off as this unprofessional, like, I hate using this term for fangirls, but crazy fangirl. So right after I got my music journalism jobs, I went back on my Instagram and stuff and deleted like everything I had involving One Direction on there. And it wasn't until maybe like nearly a year ago that I realized I shouldn't be ashamed of this. So now I'm at a point where I will mention that I once ran One Direction accounts on my resume, because it shows that it helps you with your skills in terms of wanting to go in the industry.
Yeah, it's really funny that you mentioned that, Bailey, because I remember when I first did one of my internships at Atlantic Records, we had like an intern mixer type event, and everybody was being asked like, what kind of music do you listen to? And for me, it was very much so like pop, One Direction, like a lot of boy bands. And I was so embarrassed to admit this to people. Like, I didn't want anybody to know. And I remember I like talked to one of the hiring managers, and they were like, no, we want more fangirls here. Like, we want people here because those are the people we're catering to, right? Like, these are the people we want. This is literally how we're making money. We want to know how we can reach these people. So any type of music you're interested in, whatever you're interested in, it's all valid. And don't be afraid to share that, because that's part of your story. That's part of who you are. And that's what makes you a valuable candidate.
So true. I feel like my teen self would love to hear that, because I was definitely one of them people. When people found out, I was like, oh God, they done found my fan account. Time to go in hiding. And then I think as I've started progressing and grew up, I just didn't care. Like, yeah, I ran a fan account for this person. I ran a fan account for this person, because it's an amazing experience, and it kind of just builds yourself and your passion for the industry. And then just using it on your resume. A lot of companies like that, especially companies now getting into the fan engagements realms. A lot of companies are having positions where you could do strictly fan engagements for their artists that they work with. So it's definitely something I definitely recommend people doing. So I'm going to ask more questions. Carla, you have a question. Someone wants you to speak more about your live music festival experience and recommend for how to get press passes for events. They work in student radio.
Gotcha. So live music and live festivals is one of my favorite parts about the music industry. It really fuels me. There's nothing like working an 18-hour day with nothing in my tummy but a granola bar and a shot of tequila. It is what I live for. I absolutely love it. It's a lot of hard work. The thing about the live music and festival industry is that it is incredibly hardcore. You're going to be met with so many different types of people. For one concert, there could be about maybe 10 different teams, whether it's the artist team, whether it's the security, whether it's press. There's so many different departments that go into creating just one concert and making sure it runs super smooth. But that's also the beauty in it. That means that there's so many different jobs that you could be a part of when it comes to live music and festivals. I know that there's a lot of people that might have social anxiety. I get that too. And so being in a crowd may not be what you want, but there's also marketing teams, there's graphic designers who are building posters. There are also sales departments that are trying to get clients, so that way there's a presenting sponsor for this a concert or event. There's so many different departments that you could be a part of, and that works for you. If you like being within the crowd, then there's so many there. But if you're someone that likes to maybe be part of the event, but maybe just be in a trailer or backstage and working on more label stuff, then there's a job for you there. So there's so many different types of roles out there for you. As far as asking for a press pass for events, one of my biggest tips for that is to actually work for a publication. A lot of the times these publications are unpaid unless you are you get lucky and you work for a publication that is also paying you. But there are so many online publications, and the cool thing is that you can apply for publications out in New York, even if you are based in, say, Tennessee, because sometimes online publications like to have a various amount of coverage from all over the country. And that's the best tip that I have, to try to apply and work for these publications, because they are your key to getting that photo pass and covering that concert or that music festival. I love that you're a radio student. I studied radio, had my own show, and it really helped propel me. I would say apply to become a promo assistant for your local radio stations. The cool thing about being a promo assistant is that it is flexible hours, and they work with your school schedule. So if you can only work Tuesday, Thursdays, you'll only work Tuesday, Thursdays. And it's a really great way to get your foot in the door, to meet a ton of people, and to also just meet a lot of people within the department. And as long as you have a very fostering, creative, understanding community around you, they'll be able to push and elevate you towards what you want to do. That's kind of how I really got to learn and hone my skills as a videographer and photographer for events, is because I had a community around me that allowed me to do that and help me find the right resources. But yeah, that's what I have for you.
I wanted to add, there's also a Facebook group. It's called like press passes or press releases, something like that. And on there, like everybody will post different press contacts, and you can reach out to each person, let them know if you're working for a publication, and they'll give you the email addresses that you can contact. I've done it a couple of times and it's been pretty successful. They have it for like a lot of different artists, and through there you kind of just network and find your way.
I also want to plug in, I'm going to be opening up for my creative agencies for people wanting to get press passes and help out with that. So for any journalists, photographers, stay tuned. Someone says, I'm curious to y'all thoughts on a fan fiction, a journalist or industry in general pipeline. Is it similar to running an update account, or deemed less professional, more cringy? And can you use those skills from writing fan fiction in high school to writing articles?
Yes, absolutely. I was such a huge fan fiction writer when I was in high school. I wrote them every single day. Fan fictions for me when I was younger was a form of escapism. I had a really hard time in high school because I was bullied often, a lot of the times for loving the Jonas Brothers and loving all these boy bands, and no one really could understand that. And so I would go home and write these fan fictions. But writing these fan fictions and really spending time on them really, really helped me become a better writer. And because of writing those fan fictions, I was able to write blogs, for like music blogs, and being sent out to music festivals and experience and write these fun articles basically reviewing these concerts or these festivals, and also getting to take photos at these shows too. And so I definitely don't think it's cringy at all or shameful that you write fan fictions or used to write fan fictions. I think it's a very beautiful thing, because it's writing, it's creative writing, and it's a way to keep practicing and honing your skills as a writer. And so for me to go from writing fan fictions to writing music blogs for radio is a really, really great thing. And I know that everyone here can do that too. So I definitely think that writing fan fiction is, I guess, in a sense, like a great foundation to creativity and honing those skills as a writer and bringing that into a journalism career.
I agree with that 100%, Carla, because from the time I was 12 until I was about 14, I used to write Twilight fan fiction all the time. So I remember in middle school, I used to bring in a notebook with me, and whenever I finished my work, and I wouldn't do anything else. I wouldn't communicate with anyone. I just take out my notebook and just write all these different stories, and then I go home and then I immediately published them on fanfiction.net. And so I was also on a newspaper writing team in my middle school at the time. So I think me writing the fan fiction as well as me doing the news and school newspaper stuff on the side, it helped me gain more skills as a writer. And I also went back into fan fiction writing for a little bit, never published, but I used to write short stories about Harry Styles in high school. So with that, I do agree with the fact that it does help out a lot, and it can help you improve as a writer majorly.
I'll say experience is experience. And like, you can spin any sort of experience in any way that you want. The words that you use to describe these experiences are really powerful. So just make sure you know how to express the skills and things you've learned. I don't think any fan fiction or anything should be considered cringy. It's part of who you are. This is part of your story. This is part of how you got interested in this industry. And it's important to share that with people. You should never be ashamed of that. You should never feel like it's cringy. And if anybody feels that way, that's probably not a publication or a place that you want to work for anyway.
Look at the After series. I remember reading that in high school. Then when it came out with a movie, I was like, wow. It's like, not a Harry Styles fan fiction turning into a movie. Like, there's so many opportunities and that experiences that you can use from your fangirl. Anybody has any more questions? Let's see. But for all the panelists, do you guys have any resources that you could give to our lovely viewers that they can use, like Facebook groups or different ins and out on resources that they can use to get into the music industry or help them network?
For Facebook group, I would love to suggest Girls Behind the Rock Show Facebook group. Because that's where I find most of the music industry, like not related stuff in terms of like internships, jobs, not all that. I mean, I actually did an internship I applied for an internship after seeing a post on there, and I feel like that certain group is a huge way to go. And I think I actually once did a project for my job about the Fangirl to music industry pipeline, and Carla was a part of, actually. And I would say definitely Girls Behind the Rock Show. I would 100% recommend going on there.
I second that. Girls Behind the Rock Show is such an amazing resource on Facebook. It's a wonderful group of people that from all different levels, from new industry professionals, people who are just figuring out that they want to work in the music industry, to veterans who have been working in the industry for years and years and years. And it's just a great group of people that are willing to help. It's also a great place. I'm on that Facebook group every single day, and I'm always finding people looking for internships or people saying, hey, I have an internship opportunity, or even entry-level jobs as well. Another really great resource, though, is also social social media, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be. Maybe you want to become a photographer and you find a concert photographer who is so freaking amazing. Maybe it's reaching out to them and asking, hey, do you want to jump on a Zoom call with me so I could pick your brain about the industry or how to become a concert photographer? The cool thing about this digital age is that you don't necessarily have to meet up with people in person, especially if you're very uncomfortable with that. I've had Zoom chats with people in Florida, in Tennessee, down, I'm in the Bay Area now, so I've had Zoom chats with people out in Los Angeles as well. So you can just simply ask, like, hey, can I pick your brain on Zoom real quick? And that's also a really great resource as well.
And I'll add, now you know all of us. You have our contact information. If we can ever be a resource, I can ever be a resource. You can always reach out to me if you want me to look at a resume, a cover letter, you want advice, coffee chat. If you have my information, I'm always more than willing to chat.
Well, it was great having you guys today. Everyone will be getting a newsletter of all you guys' contacts information so they can keep up with what you guys are doing. All the recordings for this should be posted by Tuesday. And it was a great connecting with everybody. Thanks for all the viewers who are watching. Thank you guys for connecting with all of us and for all the panelists for speaking on this event. I'm very happy with this event and getting the chance to do it and host it for you guys. Definitely want to do more events of this in the future. Have another one coming up in June with more different panelists. Also want to bring this event to a live event and make it a whole big festival event soon in the future. But it was a great time connecting with you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.